The Helios dawn drifted through the silent dark like a lonely lantern in endless night. Its metal hull hummed gently, carrying a crew of humans who thought they had seen every wonder space could offer, until the day they found her. She arrived in a crystalline pod discovered floating near the remains of an abandoned outpost. The pod seemed untouched by time. Not a scratch on its glass-like surface, not a fracture on its glowing core. When the crew brought it aboard, they expected a robot or a stored AI mind. Instead, when the pod opened with a soft breath of air, they saw a woman unlike any human. Skin reflected light like polished silver. Her eyes were a deep, endless violet, shifting in brightness with every fragile breath she took. She stood tall, graceful, and strangely calm, like someone who had watched the universe for centuries. Hayes, the ship's engineer, had been the first human she looked at. Not the captain, not the scientists, not the guards, him. At first he thought her stare was simply curious. She had just awakened, after all. But then her expression changed, subtle, almost invisible at first. A trembling around her lips, a faint widening of her eyes, a soft inhale that seemed too emotional to belong to a species known for logic. They were rumored to feel nothing. No anger, no empathy, no longing. They lived through pure intellect, guided by calculations and perfect control. But when stepped down from her pod and stopped directly in front of, something about her didn't fit the stories. She lifted her hand and touched the air near his chest, not quite daring to place her fingers on him. "You," she said. Her voice was like warm metal, a clear tone with no hesitation. "Your presence affects me." Blinked. "Affects you how? You've just woken up. Maybe you're disoriented." Placed her palm against her own chest. Her silver skin shimmered under the ship's lights. "There is warmth here," she whispered. "Do not experience this sensation. It activates only when I look at you." Felt a stir of panic and confusion. I didn't do anything." She studied him with eyes so focused it felt like she was looking through his soul. "Perhaps not intentionally," she said, "but the reaction is undeniable." Before could respond, Captain stepped between them. "You need rest. Our medic will examine you." Didn't move. "There is nothing wrong with my physical form." "Well," the captain said cautiously, "your people are known to be emotionless. What you're describing sounds very much like." "Emotion, finished. Impossible, physiology does not allow it." Watched the soft glow beneath her skin pulse faster. "Then what do you think it is?" Inhaled sharply, as if admitting truth she didn't want to face. "I believe you caused it." The room fell silent. Almost laughed in disbelief, but her expression held no humor. She was serious, serious in a way that made the hair on his arms rise. She believed something inside her had awakened because of him. That night, refused to stay in the guest quarters the crew had prepared. Instead, she quietly appeared beside in the workshop as he tightened bolts on a loose panel. "You are the only human who does not fear me," she said. He dropped his wrench. I guess I just don't know enough to be scared." She stepped closer, not threateningly, but with a fragile uncertainty that didn't match her flawless appearance. "When you entered my pod chamber," she said, "my eyes reacted before my mind. My heart, if you would call it that, began to move faster." Tried to choose his words carefully. "Sometimes new environments can confuse your senses." "No," she said firmly. "This sensation grows stronger when you speak." Looked into her bright violet eyes and saw something he never expected to find in an emotionless alien. The Helios dawn moved silently through the cold, empty stretch of space, its lights dimmed to conserve power. Could not focus on his usual tasks. His mind kept returning to her gaze, her words, and the way her presence seemed to warp the air around him. She was supposed to be a being of pure logic, but already she was showing signs of something else. Something dangerous, yet mesmerizing. Followed him from room to room. She did not speak often, but when she did, her words carried a weight could not fully understand. Sometimes she asked about ordinary things, how a human's heart worked, why people laughed, why the crew told stories at night. Other times her questions were oddly personal. "When you see me, do you feel differently?" she asked once while leaning against the wall of the workshop, her silver hair catching the light like a river of mercury. I don't know," admitted. "I've never met anyone like you, I guess. I'm curious too." She tilted her head, her violet eyes studying him as if trying to read his soul. "Curiosity, that I understand. But the reaction inside me, heat in the chest, quickening pulse, is new. It confuses me." Swallowed, "It's called emotion. Humans feel it all the time: happiness, fear, desire." He hesitated. "Desire is one of the strongest feelings. It can be frightening." Paused, staring at him with a strange intensity. "I believe I am experiencing this. I do not know why. It feels wrong, yet I cannot stop it." Over the next few days, the Helios Dawn felt alive in a new way, moved through the ship like a silent observer, yet her presence shifted everything. The crew noticed small changes in themselves. They felt quieter around her, aware of something delicate and fragile, but not fragile enough to break. One evening, worked late in the engineering bay. Appeared silently at the doorway, watching him adjust the plasma conduits. Her expression was calm, but the glow beneath her skin pulsed faster than usual. Felt a tension building in the air, electric and unexplainable. "You are thinking about me," she said softly, stepping closer. Her voice was a melody that seemed to vibrate in his chest, "even when you pretend not to." Paused, heart racing. I guess I am. I don't understand it myself." His eyes softened. "It is the same for me. I cannot control this feeling. I have no name for it, but it moves through me like fire." He stepped back slightly, unsure how to respond. "Fire can burn or warm, but it is strong. You're changing because of me." She lowered her gaze, almost ashamed. "I did not ask for this, and yet every moment I am near you it grows. It is frightening, and I blame you." His chest tightened. "I'm not sure what to say. I didn't do anything wrong." She lifted her face again, her eyes glimmering with an emotion that had no words in the human or lexicon. "Perhaps not, but the effect is undeniable. I am the first of my kind to feel this, and it is terrifying. I do not know what I am becoming." Felt a strange mixture of awe and fear. The perfect, untouchable was showing vulnerability. Not weakness exactly, but an awakening that made her more alive than any human he had ever met. He realized the responsibility of being near her, of simply existing in the same space, was heavier than any task he had ever faced. "I won't leave you," he said finally in a quiet, firm voice. "If this is something you're going through, you're not alone." For a moment, simply stared at him. Her violet eyes shimmered with a faint glow, like stars catching in a river of silver. She reached out slowly, hesitating, and let her fingertips brush the back of his hand. "Your presence, it anchors me," she whispered. "I do not know why, but it feels right, even as it terrifies me." Swallowed hard, sensing the gravity of the moment. "Then we'll figure it out," he said softly. "Together." Tilted her head, a small, almost imperceptible smile tugging at the corners of her lips. It was the first genuine smile he had seen from her, a smile that carried confusion, wonder, and something deeply human. The quiet hum of the ship, as stars streaked past outside the viewport, a bond formed, a fragile, unspoken connection. One human and one alien caught between logic and feeling, curiosity and awakening, and neither of them would ever be the same again. The calm of the Helios dawn was broken by the sudden flash of a holographic transmission in the central chamber. The council appeared, their forms tall, angular, and flawless. Every detail of their appearance screamed control, perfection, and authority. Stomach twisted as he realized this was no ordinary communication. They had been watching. They had noticed. Of the lead figure intoned, its voice both sharp and cold, echoing across the chamber. "You are deviating from acceptable parameters. Your recent behavior demonstrates emotional activation. This is unacceptable." Stood taller than usual, her silver hair reflecting the light of the holograms. Her eyes burned with violet intensity. "I am not malfunctioning," she said firmly. "I feel something new. It is mine." The council's leader tilted its head as if considering her words. "Feeling is irrelevant. Emotions weaken judgment. Human proximity has triggered this condition. That human must be removed immediately." Froze, he could feel the weight of their gaze even through the projection. "Wait," he said, stepping forward. "Is not broken, she's evolving. This is natural, not dangerous." The council ignored him. Its voice was colder now, sharper. "Humans are incompatible with your physiology. Their presence is a contaminant. You are to return to your for correction." His chest rose and fell rapidly. She had never argued with the council before, never challenged them, and yet now her voice carried power and conviction. "I will not be corrected. I will not be altered to fit a mold that no longer fits me." Noticed a subtle glow beneath her skin. It pulsed in time with her heartbeat, or perhaps something else, something alive. The soldiers in the room tensed, sensing her power, had never seen a being radiate emotion and strength at the same time. "You will obey," the council said firmly. "Failure to comply will be met with termination." Raised her hand slightly. A soft pulse of energy expanded outward, creating a thin barrier between her and the soldiers. Heart raced. He had never witnessed a use such force without permission. "Do not harm him," she said, her voice steady. "No one will harm him." The council recoiled. "You defy protocol. Your actions are unprecedented and will have consequences." His violet eyes softened, but the power beneath her skin continued to hum. "I am experiencing something my species has never felt before. You cannot take that from me. I will not allow it." Stepped closer, feeling an unfamiliar mixture of awe and fear. "I didn't cause this to hurt you. It's not a mistake." Her gaze fell on him for a long moment, then returned to the holographic figures. "Perhaps not," she admitted. "But it began with him. My first awareness of this desire, this warmth, this fire, it started with his presence, and I will not lose it." The council's projection flickered slightly. Even they seemed taken aback, had never spoken this way, never asserted herself, never their authority, and now her words carried weight no could ignore. Swallowed hard. "You're stronger than they realize, and this, whatever this is, it's part of who you are now." Nodded, her eyes softening as she glanced at him. "I fear what I am becoming, but I also feel clarity. For the first time, I understand what it means to choose." The council flickered out, leaving silence in its wake. The soldiers who remained stared at her with caution, some even stepping back instinctively. Exhaled slowly, heart still racing. That was intense. His gaze returned to the viewport, watching the stars streak past. "It is only the beginning," she whispered. "My kind has never felt this. I do not know what will happen next." Placed a hand gently on her arm. "Whatever comes, you won't face it alone. I'll help you understand, help you control it." His violet eyes met his again, glowing faintly. For the first time, she allowed herself to trust, to lean on another. The warmth inside her, that strange new fire, surged stronger, but now it was not frightening. Now it was a connection, something real, something undeniable. The Helios dawn hummed quietly, carrying its two passengers into the void, unaware of what the coming days would bring, but already changed forever. Days passed aboard the Helios dawn, but calm had become a fragile illusion. Moved through the ship with a tension that seemed to hum in the air. Every glance she cast, it carried something new, something human, yet entirely alien. She was learning to feel, and every sensation overwhelmed her. Watched her quietly from the workshop. His hands worked automatically on a malfunctioning relay, but his mind was elsewhere. He had never met a being who could be so brilliant and terrifyingly vulnerable at the same time. Had begun asking questions he could barely answer, about fear, longing, connection, and warmth, the strange internal fire humans called desire. One evening, he found her standing in the observation deck, staring at the distant stars. Her reflection shimmered against the glass. "I feel something," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "It is unlike anything I have known. It pulls at me, and yet it frightens me. I do not understand it fully, and it grows stronger near you." Approached slowly, unsure if he should speak or remain silent. "You're not alone in this," he said gently. "You're feeling something new. That's normal for humans. Maybe it is new for your species, but it doesn't make it wrong." Turned toward him, eyes bright, her silver skin glowing faintly under the deck lights. "Wrong, perhaps, but my people would call it dangerous. They say this warmth, this pull, is a flaw, and they will try to take it from me." Felt his stomach tighten. "Then don't let them. You can choose for yourself. You're stronger than you think." Her violet eyes softened. "I have power," she admitted, "but it is untested, and this feeling, it confuses me. I am drawn to you, yet I do not know what I should do. I do not know if it is allowed. And yet," she stepped closer, and the warmth that radiated from her seemed almost tangible, "I cannot stop it." The ship shuddered violently. The warning alarms blared as sensors detected an approaching fleet. Heart leapt. He exclaimed, "They're coming for you." His calm expression returned immediately, but the glow beneath her skin intensified. "They think I am broken, that I must be corrected, but I will not allow it. I will not allow anyone to erase this part of me." Grabbed her hand instinctively, holding it tightly. "Then we fight them together," he said. "We find a way to protect you, and this, whatever this feeling is, won't be lost." His eyes searched his face. "You stay with me even knowing what I feel?" "Yes," he replied, voice steady despite the tension. "I'll stay, no matter what comes." A low hum began to grow around. Energy radiated subtly from her hands, brushing against the walls of the observation deck. The fleet had been closing in, but now their approach seemed cautious, as if sensing something they had never faced before. "I do not understand my strength," whispered, "nor this feeling that burns inside me, but I know it is mine, and I want to control it. I want to remain myself." Nodded. "Then you will. I'll help you." The fleet drew closer, and the tension in the air thickened. For the first time, experienced fear, real human fear, but it was mixed with determination, courage, and a strange, unfamiliar exhilaration. "Then we prepare," she said, voice firm. "This is only the beginning, but I will not let them erase me. I will not hide from what I feel, not anymore." Looked at her, awestruck. The may have created her to be perfect and unemotional, but she had chosen something far greater, to feel, to exist fully, even against the rules of her own kind. As the Helios dawn surged forward toward the approaching fleet, the bond between human and alien grew stronger. A fragile, unspoken alliance forged in fear, wonder, and the first stirrings of desire. The first of her kind to feel would not go quietly, and caught in her orbit realized that nothing in the universe would ever be the same again. The calm before battle is never calm. The Helios dawn hummed with a tension that spread like electricity through the ship, moved from console to console, checking every system, repairing what he could, all the while stealing glances at. She stood at the observation deck, her violet eyes fixed on the approaching fleet. The soft glow beneath her skin pulsed like a heartbeat, reflecting her rising strength and her rising fear. "You're calm," said cautiously, approaching her. "You seem unafraid." Turned, and for a brief moment he saw vulnerability flicker across her face. "Fear exists, but it does not rule me," she replied. "I am uncertain of what will happen. My kind has never faced this. I have never faced this, but I will not retreat." Her words carried a weight could feel in his chest. There was a raw, undeniable power in her choice, not just the power to defend herself, but the power to choose her own path, something no had ever done. The first boarding pod slammed against the hull, shaking the ship violently. Alarms blared as red lights bathed the corridors. Grabbed a plasma cutter and prepared himself, though he knew it was strength that would truly protect them. Stepped forward, raising her hands. The glow beneath her skin intensified, spreading across her body like a wave. The air shimmered around her. Her first words to the intruders were calm, firm, and impossible to ignore. "I am of the," she said, her voice echoing like rolling thunder. "And I will not be controlled. I will not be rewritten. Leave now, or you will face the consequences of your ignorance." The soldiers hesitated. They had never seen one of their own display emotion and strength together. Their weapons wavered in their hands. Felt a strange thrill of hope. "You're amazing," he whispered. She looked at him and he saw a faint smile tug at the corners of her lips. It was not playful, it was something deeper, something fragile and brave. The first wave of soldiers charged but did not panic. Instead, she extended her hands, sending a subtle but powerful wave of energy that knocked them back against the walls. The ship trembled with the force, but she stood firm, grounded by determination and the strange warmth that pulsed inside her whenever she was near. One of the soldiers advanced despite the blast, weapon raised. His violet eyes blazed, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Stop!" The soldier froze. The energy surrounding her did not harm him, but it pressed upon his mind, overwhelming his will. Slowly, he lowered his weapon and backed away. Couldn't believe what he was witnessing. The first of her kind to feel desire, fear, and courage, was becoming a force no one could ignore, not even the soldiers trained to eliminate her. When the last intruder retreated, the ship was quiet again, though the red emergency lights continued to pulse. Its glow dimmed slightly as she lowered her hands, breathing softly but steadily. She turned to, her expression unreadable. "Do you understand now?" she asked quietly. "I am not a machine, I am not a tool, I am myself, and I am capable of defending that self." Nodded, feeling a swell of admiration and something else, something tender and unspoken. "Yes, I understand, and I'll stay with you. We'll face whatever comes together." For a moment the chaos of battle faded, leaving only the quiet pulse of two hearts, one human, one alien, linked by something that neither fully understood. The warmth that felt, the fire that had begun within her, was growing stronger. It was terrifying, exhilarating, and utterly alive. She reached out, brushing her hand lightly against his arm. The sensation was simple, almost innocent, yet it carried the weight of a universe of new possibilities. Her violet eyes glimmered with emotion she had never known, fear, determination, and something else. Something she dared not name. "I do not know what the future holds," she said softly, "but I know I will face it with you." Smiled, though his heart raced. "Then we're ready. No matter what comes next, we face it together." And in that moment, aboard a ship surrounded by enemies, realized something profound. Being the first of her kind to feel desire did not make her weak. It made her stronger than anyone had ever imagined. The Helios dawn drifted through the void from the recent attack. The corridors still hummed with residual energy, a faint reminder of the soldiers' failed boarding attempt. Moved carefully, repairing panels and checking systems, but his thoughts remained with. He could still feel the pulse of her power in the air, a quiet resonance that seemed to follow him wherever he went. Was in the observation deck again, standing close to the viewport. Her eyes glimmered violet, brighter and sharper than ever. The glow beneath her silver skin had shifted from a timid shimmer to a steady, pulsing light. It was the fire she had first feared, now burning with controlled intensity. She had changed, and realized that the fire he felt in her presence was no longer just emotion, it was strength. "You're quiet today," she said softly, not turning from the stars. Her voice carried calm authority, tinged with the faintest hint of warmth. "I'm just thinking," replied, "about everything that's happened, about you, about how strong you've become." Tilted her head, studying him with curiosity. "Strength is nothing without control. I have felt power before, but I have never understood what it means to channel it, to let it serve me, not dominate me." Nodded slowly. "That's how humans learn too. We make mistakes, we fail, but we grow stronger when we take responsibility for what we feel." She considered his words, then slowly closed her eyes. A soft pulse of energy radiated from her body, flowing outward, filling the room with a gentle warmth. It was not dangerous now, not chaotic. It was deliberate, controlled, measured. The fire that had once frightened her now obeyed her. "I feel it," she whispered, opening her eyes to meet his. "The fire inside me, I can control it. I can feel desire, warmth, connection, and I can choose when it guides me. This is what humans call mastery of self, is it not?" "Yes," said quietly awed, "and you've achieved it faster than anyone I've ever known." Smiled faintly. It was soft, fragile, and human, yet it carried strength. "Then it is time to act," she said. "They will not relent. They will return stronger, and they will not understand what I have become. We must be ready." His heart tightened. He had grown used to her presence, to the warmth and strange, undeniable pull she had on him. It frightened him how deeply he had come to care, yet he knew he would never abandon her. "Then we prepare," he said, "and this time we meet them on our terms." For the first time, walked toward him without hesitation. Her steps were deliberate, controlled, confident. She raised her hands, and the pulsing glow beneath her skin intensified slightly, not a threat, but a signal that she understood the fire within her and could wield it as she chose. "We have allies here," she said softly. "You have taught me trust, and with that trust I can face anything." Reached out, brushing a hand against hers. The warmth that surged between them was subtle yet undeniable. It was no longer fear or confusion. It was connection, understanding, and mutual strength. "We face it together," he said firmly. "Whatever comes, we face it side by side." His violet eyes shone with quiet determination. "Then let them come," she whispered. "I am no longer afraid. I am not the same they created. I am more. I am myself." The stars outside streaked past in silence, but within the Helios dawn, something extraordinary had changed. Had mastered the fire that had once consumed her. She had embraced the warmth, the desire, and the connection she had feared. And in doing so, she had become stronger than any being in the universe, human or alien. Looked at her, heart swelling with admiration and awe. "You're incredible," he said quietly, unable to hide the truth. Reached for his hand again, letting their fingers intertwine. "And so are you," she said, her voice a soft hum in the quiet. "It began with you, and now we are ready." They would come again, but this time, the first of her kind to feel would stand tall, guided not by fear but by choice, and by the strange, unbreakable bond she shared with a human who believed in her more than anyone ever could. The stars streaked past the Helios dawn as the fleet approached once more, larger and more coordinated than before. Tightened his grip on the railing of the observation deck, heart hammering. He knew they had no chance relying solely on the ship's defenses. This battle would depend on. And she was no longer the uncertain, frightened being she had been weeks ago. Stood beside him, her violet eyes glowing brightly. The light beneath her silver skin pulsed steadily, harmonizing with her breath. She had mastered the strange fire within her, the first of her kind to feel desire, fear, and courage. She had learned to channel it, to control it, to use it as a shield and a weapon. "They think they can force me back into their rules," she said softly, her gaze fixed on the approaching fleet. "They do not understand what I have become, and they will not take this from me." Felt a swell of pride and admiration. "You're incredible," he said. "No one has ever faced this like you. No one could." Her lips curved into a faint smile, a mixture of determination and tenderness. "It began with you, your presence, your belief in me. It awakened something that cannot be undone." The fleet fired first, energy beams lancing toward the Helios dawn. The ship shuddered under the assault but stepped forward, extending her hands. The glow beneath her skin flared, expanding outward in a protective wave that deflected the incoming fire. The light wrapped around the ship like a shield, soft yet unyielding. Watched awestruck as confidence radiated outward. The fire inside her, once a source of fear, was now a controlled, brilliant force that the soldiers' training and strategy. She was a being reborn, not defined by her species' rules, but by her own choices. "They are not ready for this," whispered, feeling the heat of her power ripple across the room. "They'll see you, they'll see what it means to feel and fight." His eyes met his, glowing with an intensity that left him breathless. "We fight together," she said softly, "and when this is over we will still be together. This connection, this bond, it is ours, unshakable." The ships faltered, their advance stuttering under the unrelenting force of her energy. His presence alone was enough to disorient them, to make them question what they thought they knew. She was no longer their perfect, obedient soldier. She was human enough to feel, alien enough to strike with unmatched precision. Moved to stand beside her, hand brushing hers. The warmth between them was electric, more than simple touch. It was a promise, a shared understanding forged in fear, struggle, and the quiet moments when they had learned to trust one another. "Ready?" he asked. Nodded, her violet glow brightening to a fierce brilliance. "Yes, let them come." As the soldiers advanced, unleashed a wave of controlled energy that pushed them back, not to destroy, but to assert her autonomy. Her first act of defiance had become a declaration. She was free. Free to feel, free to choose, free to love or fight as she willed. The battle raged around them, but the Helios dawn held firm. Every time the thought they could corner her responded with precision and strength. Every human instinct she had learned, every surge of desire, fear, and courage became her weapon. And when the last of the fleet finally retreated, beaten not by destruction, but by awe and respect, turned too. Her eyes glimmered with tears she allowed herself to feel. "We won," she whispered, voice soft but trembling, "and I am still me, whole, complete, alive." Embraced her, feeling the warmth and fire she radiated. "You've always been whole," he said quietly. "You just needed to realize it." Rested her head against his chest, allowing herself to feel everything she had feared: desire, relief, connection, and love. The fire within her no longer burned uncontrolled. It was part of her, a source of strength, warmth, and hope. For the first time, the first of her kind to feel, knew that being alive meant more than survival. It meant feeling deeply, choosing freely, and standing tall, no matter the odds. And with by her side was unstoppable. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, but within the Helios dawn, two hearts, human and alien, beat together, blazing with fire, strength, and the unbreakable bond of newfound love.